Hi friends, my name is Eric Barnett, and I'm a singer-songwriter based out of Charleston, South Carolina, and you're listening to Songs of the Unsung. Songs of the Unsung is a podcast where I sit and talk shop with other local singer-songwriters, and they share some of their music. This week's guest is Fleming Moore. Before I get to Fleming, I just want to thank everyone who came out to the second Songwriter Showcase at Freehouse Brewery that we had on January 23rd. It was a great crowd, even though the weather pushed us inside. There was great sets from Scotty Oliver, Dan Riley, and Chris Dodson. There's going to be videos from that show coming up on our YouTube channel in the next couple weeks. The next showcase is February 13th. If you guys are sports fans, you know that is Super Bowl Sunday. A great scheduling on my part, but think of this as a pregame. So come out to Freehouse Brewery to see Fleming Moore, Daniel Howell, and Robert Lighthouse, and grab some beers to go for the big game. Freehouse is an organic brewery, tap room, and outdoor beer garden situated on the banks of the historic and natural Ashley River. We brew beer as we wish it to be, organic, local, and seasonal. With over 24 taps, including gluten-free options and house-made organic lemonade, we have something for all palates. Freehouse is open to everyone and welcomes all guests with a smile and a cold beer. Inquire about hosting your event or special occasion with us at info@freehousebeer.com. This week's guest is Fleming Moore. Fleming is a musician, an actor, and a former mayoral candidate for Summerville, South Carolina, the place of his birth. Fleming's incredibly active in the local music and art scene around the Charleston area. He started Bummerville Amphitheater, is a regular at the Songwriter Soapbox over at Chico Feo, and also had a web series called The Podunks. Fleming's a really interesting guy. He's faithfully irreverent, really funny, has a lot of interesting stories, and you never quite know what he's going to say. Fleming will be on the third Singer-Songwriter Showcase over at Freehouse Brewing on February 13th with Daniel Howell and Robert Lighthouse. Enjoy my conversation with Fleming Moore. Hey Fleming, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Eric. Good to see you.
Good to have you here, man. Looking forward to the show that we're doing at Freehouse Brewery. It's going to be February 13th, Super Bowl Sunday of all days, we chose.
Oh, that's perfect.
But it's going to be you and Daniel Howell and Robert Lighthouse, and it'll be really nice to hear everybody play their songs and tell their stories.
Cool. So we playing during halftime or?
No, it's earlier in the day. I'm pretty sure.
No, I mean, like, I thought they might be streaming us live into the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, probably, yeah. So I first met Fleming, actually, when I first moved to town, I was going to Holy City Confessionals quite a bit at Home Team Barbecue and ran into Daniel Howell quite a few times, and she said, Fleming Moore is a guy you need to meet. So I think one time you came out and I met you, and I think we both might have been a little standoffish at first, but I remember at the time you were gearing up to run for mayor of Summerville. Shady for mayor was the hashtag.
Yes, sir.
And you want to talk about that, or just we can skip right by that if you want to.
No, it's I was running for governor there for a while, so
I'd vote for you.
Yeah, but
rather than that guy we have, yeah.
Well, we just don't have choices, and I would say anybody who wants to run for something to run, not with the expectation of winning, but with the knowledge that you can change the narrative.
Right on.
Right on. And then you can decide what the lesser two evils are, and then help the lesser two evils get elected.
Well, I would hope at the very least, even though you didn't pull through on that election, I hope at the very least you had people questioning their candidates and looking at the issues a little bit more than they were before.
Well, people forget so quickly. I actually went back. One of the reasons I ran is because you mentioned I'm acting now, and I thought running for mayor would be a perfect opportunity to hone my performance artist skills.
Okay.
In debates
Yeah.
and dealing with interviews that you have
Yeah.
to deal with. So it was a learning experience for that part of it, which was cool. So I went back and looked at some of my old videos. So what I was doing was slamming them with Facebook videos.
Yeah.
And actually, I was being interviewed by Channel 5, and what I had to say made perfect sense to me, even though I don't remember hardly even saying it at the time, because, they're interviewing you and putting you on the spot. But I was like, well, God, I would have voted for that guy,
Well, good. But, it's good to be.
But everything's back to the new normal, building hundreds of apartments with no infrastructure to support it, and real estate agents.
One thing I really respected you were doing was you were questioning money. You were following some money around. And
Yes.
You were saying, hey, maybe we look at this candidate and this money he's getting from this shell corporation that happens to be the company that's trying to get this
Done
glossed over so we can do that. Yeah, and that's something people need to think about.
Well, it happens all the time. So and we might need to edit some of this out.
You let me know.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to disparage anybody. In fact, my New Year's resolution is not to talk. If I don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So I think this interview's over, Eric.
Okay, yeah, it was good talking to you, Fleming. Thanks
Nice talking to you. Yeah.
So, folks, if you don't know anything about Fleming Moore, you should definitely go online. There's plenty of places you can look. I always try to research people before they come over. I didn't dig up anything really scandalous, and I wouldn't bring it up anyway. But there's quite a few episodes of Craft Conversations with Brian Dales where you tell some really funny stories, including one about a bomb scare, which people should definitely check out that episode of Craft Conversations.
That comes. One thing good about Facebook. There's a couple good things about Facebook. One is when your memories come through.
Yeah,
and that comes through every Christmas. I think it was December the 27th, 2013, and I woke up and looked at my Facebook and said, Fleming, did you leave something in Hutchinson Square? And it turned out that I busted out laughing. There was nothing I could do but laugh about mistaking my harmonicas for an explosive device. But
well, in the right hands, a harmonica can be a very effective explosive device.
So it was the guitar strings hanging out of the case that looked like wires. So they called the governor and
Wow.
And they closed down the streets, and and thank God it was Sunday, so the stores didn't miss out on any shopping.
Yeah.
And I think the police actually liked it because they got overtime, and they got to play with their toys.
Yeah, they got some.
They got to play.
They got the robot and everything.
They got the robot out.
Oh wow!
And when the robot came, they said, "Oh." It was just almost like Caddyshack, where they find the baby Ruth. I said. What musical paraphernalia is what the paper called.
Musical paraphernalia.
So it's musical, but I had that was like $400 worth of harmonicas. Wow. So the trick was, the police had my harmonicas, so I had to go into the police station, and try some more of my acting out and pretend like I was really upset that this whole thing had happened, and oh my God, but. And they made me wait for like about 30 minutes, and then they gave me my harmonicas back.
They had to make sure that was the extent of the paraphernalia that was in that case.
Well, if they looked a little closer, no tell.
We'll just leave that up to everyone's imagination.
Yeah.
Also, there's a really good interview with you on the Mufic channel with Kevin Church, where you were talking about kind of your early life and your musical influences and things. And I try not to rehash other things because I want people to check out all that stuff. So go check out Brian Dale's Craft Conversations. Check out Fleming's interview with Mufic. Summerville guy, you might actually be the first person I've talked to on this podcast that's actually from here.
Yeah, that's probably... the probability of that happening is probably 3%, you know?
Yeah. Well, you're first one out of 7, but I have yet to talk to a non-bearded non-male. So Danielle will be a first in that category. Summerville born. Said you've been writing songs since you were 3 years old, kind of doing the Weird Al thing with your brother's records.
Yeah, well, no, I've always had melodies in my head, man.
Yeah.
And I remember riding, I was back in the day when dashboards were metal and the seat belts weren't necessarily what you had in your car when you bought it. I was big enough to stand up in the back seat and hold on to the front seat of a 1960 Ford Falcon station wagon.
Uh-huh.
And I remember my little sister being in the front seat with my mom holding her. No baby, you know, back then they didn't have car seats for kids hardly. And I was making songs up for them because I guess always trying to vie for my parents' attention. And you know how I am when I perform. I'm kind of ham it up. So I was writing songs then.
Always been the character.
Yeah.
What made you want to pick up a guitar and play?
I really like the Rolling Stones. I like that song that I've heard you play many times, Wild Horses.
Yeah.
And my brother brought home a Prestige, I believe, guitar that his friend had bought on the Air Force Base, an electric guitar.
Okay.
And we didn't have an amp for it, but it was really easy to, to start off. So I learned a lot of bad habits for playing the guitar at a young age. And
a lot of habits you later had to completely relearn.
Well, no. That were erased from my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, Fleming talks a little bit in one of the episodes where 28, was it? Had a stroke. Had to just completely relearn guitar from scratch.
Absolutely. Then I have my good friend John Crookie, who a lot of South Carolina musicians or national musicians should know. He sat beside me and tolerated me for many, many months as I relearned.
Do you play any songs from before that time, or is everything you're playing?
Yeah, everything. I play everything. Yeah,
So there's really no, you really don't divide it up as Fleming before, Fleming after. It's just Fleming.
No, it's whatever comes up. Stream of consciousness.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Taught high school math for a while.
Yes, I did.
Anything from that make it into your songwriting?
Yeah. Yo-Yo's about a teacher I dated for a while.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yes.
I said kind of early on that I considered you faithfully irreverent, which is kind of a oxymoron. You have faith, but at the same time, you're not very tied to dogmatic approaches to it. And that
right.
may kind of apply to structures of teaching high school, may apply to religious institutions, and
well, it has to do with institutions in general.
Yeah.
Okay, my father was a nonconformist, and we all grew up to be nonconformist. Like there used to be back when I had hair, and back when schools had dress codes back in the 70s, they would want to send me home in third grade for having my hair too long, and stuff like that. And so I didn't fare well in the institution of school as a student, and as a teacher, I got in more trouble with the principal than I did when I was in high school.
You find yourself trying to kind of change things from the inside.
Right, and I worked at a church. That didn't work out too well. Another institution. I guess the only institutions I've really succeeded in would be mental ones.
Okay, if we were looking for a quote for the episode, that's the one. Were you playing harmonica right off the bat, or when did that come in? Yeah,
my grandfather, he was an influence in that he had a ukulele and harmonicas in his bedroom. and I would sneak back there and play. He didn't like me playing his harmonica for good reason, but kids are kids.
Right.
And when he would be gone, I'd sneak in his room and play his ukulele a little bit. In fact, the first song I ever wrote, interestingly enough, was the day of my grandfather's funeral.
Okay.
And I wrote it on his ukulele, and it was like the first song that I claim, that was, I wrote the chords to and stuff, and wrote the words. I realized that my grandfather, they kept him alive for weeks when they should have let him die. Hooked him to machines and ran up with his Medicaid bill.
Yeah.
And a lot of times in Western medicine, we do that, not to be controversial. But so anyway, it's called It's Over.
All right.
Can you remember when you were young and life was so carefree? You spent the nights holding tight to the dreams you thought would be. Well, it's over now. It's over. The world has changed all over. And you're standing there like you don't even care. It's falling apart. When I was growing up, you were always throwing up my mistakes to me. And you did your best, trying to live in the past of a fading memory. It's over now. It's over. It's all behind your shoulder. You can look back, but you can't go back to the way it used to be when we were young and free. Every day was another struggle to see if you could survive. At the end of it all, nothing changed at all. You surrendered and died. It's over now. It's over. The storm has blown over, and the sky is clear, and you're lying there like it was only a dream. It was only a dream. And when it's over, it's over.
How long have you been gigging for?
Since I was 16, I guess. 16, 17. I was in a band. I forgot what we called ourselves. But it was with, one of those neighborhood bands that practiced in the Frog of their parents' house. And we played maybe 2 parties together.
That works, man.
And then there was I did some solo stuff at the Dancing Bear on Folly Beach a long, long time ago.
So when it comes to looking for your music, all I can find right now are You have 3 EPs and 1 single. At least that's what's up on Spotify and Apple Music.
Right. When I think that's all getting ready to come down.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I mean,
What'd you taking it down for?
because I've amassed $14.97 over the last 7 years on Spotify, and I think
you've had 1 million plays?
No, I mean, first of all, I'm hooked into Reverb Nation, who's distributed it, all that stuff, and I want to take over my webpage, maybe.
I got you.
And this, I think, for me, my focus is going to be trying to get some of my music, and I've been successful on a very micro budget level, getting my music in film.
Okay. Yeah, get some sync licensing.
Right. Yeah. And try to make more than $14. It's funny, when my father wasn't supportive of all of me playing music.
Okay.
And he told me one day, son, I won't use his words, but put that guitar down, get a job. You'll never make a nickel playing music. So anyway, fast forward after 20 years later, and I'm putting stuff up on a site called IUMA back in the late 90s.
Okay. Independent
United Musicians. And they would play your music and pay you. And so
wow.
And so they sent me a check for a nickel. And so I took it to my dad and said, you said I would never make a nickel more than a nickel. I said, you never make a nickel playing music. He goes, I said, more than a nickel.
More than...
or something along those lines.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, it was funny. Get a nickel check in the...
I hope you've made a little bit more since then.
Not
a lot. I mean, I'm out there too. It's not a lot.
No, actually, it's the money is somewhere else. I don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'm to the point where I don't care anymore. I'm not playing music to make money. I would be nice if it would supplement my income.
Sure.
But, it seems like, one thing, having lived in my hometown and having run for mayor and the Bummerville Amphitheater thing where I used to... So basically I started Bummerville Amphitheater because the live music scene in Summerville was dismal at the time.
Mm-hmm.
There was no place for musicians who did original music to play, or any music for that matter. It was like two venues. And so I kind of put my thumb in the eye of the Chamber of Commerce and stuff, but I'm known for bringing music into venues.
Yeah.
And so what happens is I do the cold call, come in and tell them, it's $150, and my job is to keep people in here, not to attract people to your restaurant. Hopefully your food is doing that.
Yeah.
What I want to do is have them have a good experience while they're at your venue, and hopefully stay longer and drink a little more, and you make a little bit more money that way.
I always thought that a lot of places that they put the onus of bringing people there on the musician. It's almost like they don't have faith in themselves, or they don't take it upon themselves to create an environment that makes people want to come,
Right. But that's I have less of a problem with that than I do making the cold call, going in there, okay, I'm going to help you try to get music going on.
Right.
Then you post something on Facebook, and it's like the crabs in a bucket come and yank you down, and they go in there and they want to play, and the owner goes, sure, because I don't want to play there every week, right?
Right.
And they come in and cut your fee by $50, and so they kind of use my name so people are attracted to the venue for the music, and then don't want to pay. So I quit putting anything up on Facebook about where I'm playing.
Okay.
Especially if I found a new spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not advertising on Facebook about that crap. I'm not, God bless you if you can afford to play for free. But, for every $50 that gets cut off of a gig, that's, 7 to 8 DoorDash deliveries I have to make.
Right.
So,
right.
I might as well DoorDash if I'm doing it for the money,
Yeah, it's funny. I've found that although there are more gigs to get here, there's less pay per gig here than, where I came from.
Right.
And, there's always somebody willing to swoop in for less, it seems.
And I understand it's the economy, it's supply and demand. It's got a lot of musicians, they're willing to play. And the thing about it is there's a lot of good musicians that hold down really, really good professional jobs, and so they don't need the money and they want to play, and I don't think they really think it through, and God bless them and all that. I'm not going to spend any energy on that. They want to play music. I get it. But you're right. You can go to Savannah, Jacksonville, and make $200 solo gig, 2 hours,
Yeah.
So I think I'm being drawn out in South,
Are you?
Yeah, I have been for a while.
When it comes to those EPs that you put out, I mean, I know because of the distribution and Reverb Nation and everything, you're thinking of pulling them. Are you happy with the way they turned out? Are they?
Yes and no. What I like about them, one thing good about them is I can tell I was getting better. By the time the third one rolls around, I'm way more comfortable in the studio. I actually, if you look at the 3 EPs and you were to play the songs in the order that they are, it's a conceptual album.
Well, I did. I actually, I listened to them multiple times.
Right. So the way it starts out, it's me, young guy, striking it out to go to Atlanta, kind of semi-autobiographical.
Uh-huh.
Of course, there's always a girl involved in moving and stuff like that. And but then my life falls apart with Ghetto. And then, it's just about, and I keep writing, so.
Did you record all those in the same place?
Oh, yeah. Let me get a shout out to Cole Collins and my buddy Mark Collins at MC Sound Studios. Mark and I didn't grow up together, but we went to the same high school.
Okay.
And he's just a phenomenal. Both of them are phenomenal musicians.
Who all played on those?
Believe it or not, me. I played on it.
Yeah.
No, I had Richard Harmon, who I was in a band called Podunk that we were playing together at the time. He plays guitar on it. But basically, Cole laid down the bass, the drums,
really,
the fiddle.
Really,
I paid him. He was a studio musician. I paid him. I laid down the acoustic, and went like that. In fact,
so he was kind of a producer as well. He
and I produced it together. Yeah, he produced it. And he's something else. So y'all should check out ColeCollinsMusic.com, and might be somebody you'd want to get out there to the Free House Brewery.
I'll put him in the show notes. I always go through and I listen to everything and I make notes, and I miss the days of like physical copies of things where you can go through and read all this stuff because
well, see, that was the cool thing back in the 70s. I had an album collection, and you'd open up the album, read the liner notes, pull the album out, put it on a turntable, and look at the artwork. I guess they do that digitally with EPKs and stuff, but that's
not the same.
Back in the 60s, you'd look at the bands, and whatever the bands were playing, that would be what would move the fashion. You'd say, damn, I want some boots like Bruce's got like that. Or
even in the days of cassettes and CDs, I always used to pull the little book out and sit there, and sometimes it'd have lyrics, or sometimes it would just be I always looked to see who recorded it, where they recorded it, who played on it, because I would see different names pop up on different stuff, and that's the sort of thing that interested me.
Right.
But yeah, that's a thing I miss. It's something that it's almost embarrassing to have to ask you, like, man, I don't know anything about this other than it's there, you know?
And that's what I liked about Springsteen. When his albums would come out, always had the lyrics.
Yeah.
You know, whereas the Rolling Stones, which I love the Rolling Stones, but sometimes you're trying to figure out, what's he saying in Beast of Burden? He can do what?
I'm not so sure he knows, though. That's
no,
the thing.
You're right. Or you know.
Yeah.
But
well, Dylan, some of those songs, if you printed out the lyrics, it would just be a book that you would get with that thing, 7 or 8 verses, a sad-eyed lady of the lowlands. Would, yeah.
No kidding.
So those were your guys, huh? Springsteen and Dylan. Were they kind of two of the guys that...
What? So the first song I ever fell in love with was Eve of Destruction. And you could probably... if you listen to some of my music, you can tell I ripped that off.
I wouldn't say that.
No, I didn't rip it off any more than anybody else rips anybody off.
Yeah.
But it was Eric Burdon and the Animals.
Uh-huh.
Then I fell in love with the Rolling Stones, and I was a Stones guy. Of course, I listened to the Beatles, but you know, if I had to pick between the two,
you're a Stones guy. Yeah,
I'm Stones.
Yep.
I'm not one of these both, and I understand the Beatles.
Yep.
Musically are more sophisticated, but there's something about the Rolling Stones, that blues, 3 chords, and you know.
There's 1,000 reasons that both sides are right on the Beatles v.
Yeah.
Stones. I'm a Beatles guy, and I've got a million reasons, and you're a Stones guy, and you have a million reasons, and
right.
Doesn't mean either of us is wrong, but
no, not
anybody
at all.
that gets to know me and gets to know you, it makes sense that you're a Stones guy and I'm a Beatles guy for some reason. I'm not sure.
So I was a Stones guy from Beggar's Banquet up to Exile on Main Street, and they kind of, in 1975, my brother turned me on to Bruce Springsteen, and I was at the age where, you know, I was 15, horny as hell, and you know.
He just sang about that. Man.
But he and I came from a small bedroom community. Summerville at that time probably had a population of 3,000. Lots of dirt roads. You could see the Milky Way at night, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And when Bruce sings about giant Exxon signs and just a jungle land, it took me out of that small town thing, and it made me dream of what it would be like to live in the city. And I fell in love with this song called "Incident on 57th Street."
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, unfortunately, I became one of the characters in that song.
Oh. So when it comes to writing your own songs, do you ever sit down specifically to write, or does an idea strike you and you're like, I have to write that down, or how does it hit you? Does it hit you?
Believe it or not, I don't write. I basically, what'll happen is I'll fall across a melody. Sometimes, or whatever pours out of my heart will be what it is, or what's going on with me. But sometimes, like the frontage road of the interstate of life, I wish I could have claimed I coined that phrase, but I did not. A guy that I was working at a safety supply company back in the early 80s, and a guy named Marty up in Greenville said, Fleming, today I feel like I'm just looking by and watching, because the place was located right on the frontage road, his particular location. Because I'm on the frontage road of the interstate of life. And I said, damn, that's a good, I'm going to write a song about that one day and use that in a song. So I held on to that for probably 6 or 7 years, that phrase, and then had the opportunity where I was in a position where I was stuck on the frontage road of the interstate of life for about 28 days.
I gotcha.
And I wrote it about about an older guy. I don't mind saying I've been in rehab 27 times. No, I've been in rehab a few times.
Uh-huh.
And it was the first time I went to rehab. There was this older guy about my age now, or a little bit younger, that I wrote the song about because, I didn't have a wife or any of that stuff at the time.
Right.
So maybe we'll do that one too. So
I've never been a person to say, like, if you don't come up with something completely whole cloth, you can't call it yours. Some of being not just a songwriter, but being an artist in general, is sometimes you hang around with a butterfly net, and when something goes by, you got to know what to catch, and you got to know what to throw back, and
right.
I've written some things where I just hear a line in a TV show, and it's like, oh, that's a thing. I can do something with that.
Right. Well, yeah, you hear some stuff, and phrases and words and lyrics that create images,
Yeah.
Give you vision. Like when I see the frontage road of Interstate of Life, first thing I see is a fence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you're writing a song, do you hear other instruments? Do you hear an arrangement, or you just?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I hear other, but so, and this circles back to being happy with the recordings on the EPs.
Uh-huh.
Is sometimes we tend to overproduce, and you get an idea in the studio, and you do it in the studio, but it doesn't marinate over time.
It's like chasing a dragon,
right?
If it doesn't end up
right.
The way,
So I'm starting to feel, I'm going to be in the studio tomorrow.
Yeah, with Noah Grove.
With Noah Grove, as a matter of fact. So shout out to the Grove, and I've worked with Noah before, and it was a really good experience, and the track ended up in a movie, so that was cool, and it was kind of bare bones.
Yeah,
and I think I'm going to work on. So that first EP, Folk Songs for the Apocalypse.
Uh-huh.
It should have. I have enough folk songs and apocalyptic folk songs that I should have saved that title for that. So
right.
Another good reason to pull all that
could have
off.
been a double album, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, I've written songs now that lately that actually would fit. That I didn't have enough songs for it, but now I do. I've written some songs lately that with the way the world's been turning lately,
Oh yeah.
There's a lot to, it's kind of funny. It's not real funny if you listen to "We're All Gonna Die." Hey man, I mean,
well, it depends how you want to take it, though. I mean, it's not funny in terms of when it's time. It's not funny.
No, but
what can you do but laugh about it, though, Fleming?
Yeah, I know, but here's the thing: is that I wrote that before Trump.
Yeah.
I wasn't even about Trump. I wrote it before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. So you're saying you did this?
No, I'm just saying, basically, there's always been plagues. There's always been strong men who rule the world.
Yeah.
And so all you got to do is write about it. And that, apocalypse is basically has always happened. You're always living in the apocalypse.
I mean, every time there's ever been, people said it was the end times and it was the worst times, and it's really at this time. And then 5 years go by, and you're like, oh shit, I wish it was 5 years ago. We were living great,
Or you like me, you don't think it's going to last past 2000, so you party your ass off, and then you're all of a sudden you're 40 years old and you don't have any kind of retirement plan.
Yeah. Have you been reading my diary?
No. So
I'm 40 years old, Fleming, and I don't have any kind of retirement plan.
No.
Well, we're all gonna die.
I see about $15,000 hanging on your wall right now.
Oh, Fleming's just pointing at my guitars that look expensive but aren't. Now, you were talking about the tendency to overproduce things. I'm reminded of. I'm glad you were talking about Bruce Springsteen, because one thing Springsteen in my mind, has done right in his career is he's explored every way of doing a record. He did Nebraska, which was on a 4-track. I mean, so minimal. He's done things with the E Street Band. He's done things that he's like, I'm going to make a folk album. I'm going to make a country album. It's
played with Pete Seeger, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Seeger sessions.
Oh yeah. Have you thought about taking any of those songs and I'm going to re-record them, or I'm going to strip them down, or I'm going to make the album? Any plans for that?
No, because I can't really afford to make an album.
I gotcha.
What I'm going to do, if I just signed with a different agent today with acting, so my focus is kind of acting, and the music's taking a back seat.
Okay.
And so what I'd like to do is I've written a new song, a happy song.
Yeah.
Which I don't really write a lot of happy songs. And I want to shoot a video for it. Maybe, instead of trying to raise $20,000 on GoFundMe to do an album, maybe if I could raise like $1,500 to shoot a video to get the permits and do something like that. That's fun, Do you feel like your acting has given you insight into how to do more effective videos? And yeah, I've now when I watch things, I'm watching, which is and I watch it with a friend of mine who's also in the industry. We look at movies and you look at it from a different, from behind the camera, look and notice the subtleties and angles, and I like series like Goliath, Peaky Blinders. You watch how they make those things. It's interesting. You start catching the continuity issues. And
I'm bad about that.
Right. But stuff I used to never think about before I started acting.
You can always tell when there's a really big name actor, because when they go to do like coverage in a shot of somebody else, you're like, that's not the back of his head. They were just having a different guy stand there while the B actor was delivering their lines. And so you're always seeing stuff like that.
Well, no, like the way somebody's hair is combed and they'll do the turnaround scene, and what'll happen is obviously it was a fourth take, and instead of the hair being it's suddenly behind their ear, or with women's hair especially.
I'm bad about when people are like drinking stuff out of clear glasses.
Right.
Or if they're eating something and then you're like, wait a minute, that's the cheeseburger's getting more bites as it goes, or the cup's getting fuller, or
that happens. That happens too. But it's better than what I hate to see is when somebody picks up a suitcase and there's nothing in it.
It's really light.
And you know that it's not like anything, that kind of stuff.
Let's talk about your acting a little bit, man. So started out elementary school, acting out in plays and stuff, and acting out just in general. You acted out, but
no, actually, I was a good kid when I was little.
And then
that's when I started listening to Bruce Springsteen. Everything went right.
Started becoming rebellious. Yeah.
Right.
So and then in high school, you did a little bit of directing as well.
Yes.
What got you back kind of thinking, did it start with background acting and then?
Yeah, well, what happened was I was sitting around the house. I'd just been fired from an institution, and I was really getting at the Facebook and getting stuff going on a bunch of social media. I said, well, I could do background work. You sit around and wait. I could do all this while I'm sitting around and get paid. So I started doing that. And the novelty of being on set, it was incredible to be around. And this was the Mr. Mercedes episodes they were shooting in Charleston. Just to be around an ensemble, a group of just carpenters, painters, wardrobe people, seamstresses, electricians, everything you need for a movie set, and they're all working and they all seemed happy, and the actors, the big name actors were real nice to me, and it was like amazing to be around a group of people who understand that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, and there are really no small jobs or no small roles.
Yeah.
That they're working towards a project together. And so anyway, they asked me, for some reason they think I look like Bruce Dern. I don't know why, but they asked me to be his photo double, and then they gave me a trailer, and I got hooked. No. I thought it was fun, man, you know? And I said, man, an old guy like me, it's an easy way to make money, and plus the competition's dying out, you know?
Well, I've seen you in Righteous Gemstones. We were watching, might have been like the very first episode, and I'm like that outdoor, it was like a party scene or like a potluck or something.
Yeah, it was a church scene.
I was like, that's Fleming back there, man. So
yeah,
that was really cool. Been in even some, you had a few speaking roles?
Yes.
And, Little Cooper, Time After Time, Holly Hill, Salt.
Yeah, those are, Holly Hill is coming out. They've changed the name of that. It's going to be called Oaks on the Outside. It's by a director called Adrian Romaine, who is works with Shadow Moss Entertainment here in Charleston, and it's I'm looking forward to that coming out. I have one line, and I don't want to give it away. But anyway, I didn't have any trouble remembering the script on that one, but it was fun. I'm glad I did that. That actual day changed the trajectory of what I'm doing these days.
I'm reminded a little bit. Did you ever see the Seinfeld episode where Kramer ends up on the Woody Allen set?
Yeah.
And these pretzels are making me thirsty.
Yeah.
So you got
your pretzels are making me thirsty.
But there is one thing that I thought was a little strange, man. I'm looking at your IMDb page and I see trash operator, homeless man.
Yeah, I'm getting typecast as a homeless man, you know, but that's all right.
Hey, you know.
And that's what I would, and on the Oaks or the Outside, I'm a homeless guy.
Hey, it makes more money than $14.87 from Spotify.
Right, yes, it does. And it's,
Yeah, man.
But anyway, no, I'm changing my looks up. I'm going to get some Botox and dye my hair.
Move over to Mount Pleasant and do the whole thing, huh?
Yeah.
It's going to go right to your head, Fleming.
It already has, Eric.
Oh, man. Also, something that I watched, Brandon TV.
Yeah, that's coming out.
Yeah.
I got a lot of stuff that's getting ready to pop, I think.
The episode where you audition is on, and it's the video of your audition.
Oh, it gets way better after that. You just can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I watched that.
Hey, so Brandon Stewart and Ashton and Two Live Bree, the judges, man, they were so cool. That was fun. I wish they'd invite me back, actually. I'd probably do it again. Because it really is a song competition.
Yeah.
But so I approached it as a reality TV show and as an actor when I might have should have been doing it as a musician, but I had a fun time. It was fun.
I had a laugh because the only episode that you're on so far that's been released to this date was your audition. And the audition was from the video I helped you shoot.
Right.
You did like a live stream.
Well, yeah, they wanted me to come to Nashville, and I said, no, I'm not going to. I can't.
For this,
I said, I'm not going to Nashville. And they said, well, will you submit a video?
Yeah.
A video.
Well, what I laughed about is they were there looking at the video, and they're like, yeah, he's got a sock on the microphone.
Yeah, it was windy that day, man. I couldn't find my.
I was right. Yeah, I remember that. I was sitting right there. Like, Fleming put a sock on the microphone.
And get this.
But that grounded you. That sock was what made you authentic, man.
Well yeah. But what's? Yeah, I think I might have used. I did use that song. That's right, the whole thing. But I actually used that video in the that footage in a video, Walk by Faith.
I saw that.
And then I used the recording that I did at Noah's.
Uh-huh.
And the words, it syncs up pretty darn good, man.
You got good tempo, man.
I must do it the same way, or pretty much the same way, same time, yeah.
Is that Walk by Faith? Is that so that's something you've already done with Noah?
Yeah, I did that with Noah, and it ended up being in that movie, Little Cooper.
Very cool.
Yeah. I was talking to her and said, hey, she goes, well, I'll go listen. And she goes, hey, would you like to use this song? And then I added this other. So anyway, I'm going to have to figure out how to do it the right way. But
do what?
License it. I mean, you work. It's a micro budget movie, and say, okay, give me $250 and you can use it forever.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to figure out how to do the in perpetuity thing where.
Right. But it's almost like when you like if you play a gig at an establishment that that's not like a chain or, that's struggling to get their stuff together.
Yeah.
You'll take a little hit.
Yeah.
Because you enjoy doing what you're doing. It's like a micro budget movie. This lady made this movie about horses being slaughtered.
Yeah.
And the money that's generated from the movie goes to the Humane Society for horses, or to support the adoption of horses. So, why not?
You don't want to get greedy in terms of that.
Right, and I hadn't had a song in a movie before.
Sure.
So why not get one in a movie?
Well, that's cool, man. That's cool. Are there any songs that you consider to be just the pinnacle of songwriting? Is there something that you can point to a specific song and say, if I could do that, I'd be good. I'd be satisfied.
I'm satisfied.
Oh,
but no, the ones that inspired me, I would, I heard Lost in the Flood by Bruce Springsteen. I hate to keep going back to Bruce, but if people don't, if they haven't listened to Greetings from Asbury Park, the lyrics to some of those songs.
Yeah.
I wanted to write lyrics like Bob Dylan and Bruce Springsteen,
Okay.
And I wanted to rock out like Keith Richards and the Rolling Stones.
Something that puts you in a place and tells you a story and then has some swagger?
Well, yeah, it tells a story or and some that make you laugh, some that make you cry.
When you listen these days, are you an albums guy? Or are you a singles guy? Or
ever since the iPod came out years and years ago, I've kind of just been shuffling.
Yeah?
Yeah, but, and I bought a brand new used car, and of course they give you the Sirius satellite, so you're going through the channels. And so even with Apple Music, you want to listen to something, and they'll give you the Tom Petty radio.
Yeah.
So you're going to get a shuffle up. And I like that sometimes because then you discover artists that were influenced by Tom Petty that you've never heard before.
Yeah, I'm actually, a lot of people get scared when they Google something and then they go on Amazon and it gives them an ad, or Facebook gives them an ad for whatever. But when the algorithm actually works in your favor, when you've been listening to some stuff and then all of a sudden Spotify or Apple Music says, hey, you may like this, and it's something you would have never found any other way. Like, I'm a big fan of when that actually happens.
Yeah, and I like my music's on my iPod, and they start shuffling my songs along with an artist that I really like. The algorithm picks me up and it says, puts me right next to a song that's appropriate. It sounds like, so it means I might be getting
That's
close.
Encouraging, man.
I might be getting close, right?
Yeah. Whenever, see, my problem with Apple Music and Spotify and Facebook is there was a reggae artist in the 60s named Eric Barnett, and he's much more popular than I am. So anytime you look at like my name and it's like, you might also like, it's just like weird 60s reggae. So
right.
I get no love from the algorithm. Luckily, there's not a whole ton of Fleming Moores floating around.
There. I hope not.
Not that you know about, right?
Right, well.
So these days, what are you working on? You said you're doing a little bit of recording.
Tomorrow, I'm going to record a song tomorrow with maybe might get a couple of them done with Noah tomorrow, and then I'm shooting a film down in Savannah, Salt, on the 27th and 28th. Got self-tape auditions in, and I just signed with Coastal Talent here in Charleston. I had an agent down in Tampa. But I wanted somebody closer by, and I'm excited because they seem to be a little bit more hands-on. And 3 people that were on the Gemstones last night were out from her agency, or last Sunday night. Yeah, so
excellent, excellent. Anything going on with Bummerville Amphitheater?
I think Bummerville Amphitheater has accomplished what it can accomplish.
I'll tell you, man. Actually,
the music scene was dismal. It's actually pretty good up there. The paradigm is I'm going to go towards more house concerts. I like that. And maybe do it outside the purview of Bummerville Amphitheater. But I just really don't like being a live jukebox.
I got you.
Anymore.
I feel
I'm at the point. I'm 60 years old.
Right.
I mean. Sometimes I need the money and I'll push through it, but I'd much rather play for two. I've been enjoying going to the Soapbox out in Folly Beach. I'd rather play out there for free. People to listen. I can kind of test my new songs out.
Well, I've enjoyed the times I go, man. It's a Monday night and I got to get up at 5:30 in the morning, so that really impacts how often I can go. Now, occasionally, if I get a text from Fleming saying it's my birthday, I gotta go. So maybe it should be your birthday a little more often, and I'll
or
drag myself out on a school night,
or sign up for the 6 o'clock.
I'm never gonna play and leave though. That's
no, you're allowed to do that from time to time, especially if you want to try out a new song.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I maybe got to write some new songs.
You will if you quit waking up at 5:30 every morning.
Wouldn't that be nice, man?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice? Well, I will say, man, one of the first fellas I met when I came to town here, what you've done with Bummerville Amphitheater, the people you've introduced me to, the opportunities you've given me, it's part of what kind of gave me the idea and the courage to kind of start doing this podcast and this songwriter showcase, man. It's something that, I'm sort of a control freak, so I had to do it all myself. But
no, that's it's good to be autonomous. This is a one-man show, man, dude. Not like you need a crew for this,
right? Well, I'm excited to have you and Danielle and Robert Lighthouse play the songwriter showcase. Going to do live video there, 3-camera video, and
cool.
And Freehouse has been pretty cool about letting me have this there. I said I want to have original songwriters.
Mm-hmm.
I want to pay them for their time.
Good.
And I really want to set up a thing there where once a month people have a place to go expecting to hear original music. So I'm hoping this continues to be a thing. I'm really grateful for you being a part of it, since you're one of my influences in getting it started. Got a couple songs to share for us?
Sure. And I just want to let you know that I think it's a cool thing. And keep it going, man. I plan on supporting. I love it. It's Sunday afternoon. I had a great time the other day. I thought I was going to see Dan Riley and Scotty Oliver and Chris Dodson. And
it was my gig.
It was... It was you, so that was cool.
Yeah, well, sorry to disappoint you.
No, you didn't. It was fun, man. Those little kids playing by the marsh. It was a nice spot, man.
Well, it was something where when I was initially talking to them, they thought, well, what would be a good time and everything, and I said to them, give me a Sunday afternoon. You're already busy Fridays and Saturdays. You have a built-in crowd Fridays and Saturdays. I want to try to actually make a thing where it becomes where you go.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Take a Sunday afternoon where maybe you possibly don't do the best business you could do, and hopefully this podcast will get in people's hands, not just other musicians, because it's easy to get other musicians to come out. It's how do you get the average person to care about original music and not want to go hear a human jukebox?
That's if you figure that one out, you let me know. But I think it can have. It's nice when people are there to listen, and it's. I think Homegrown Brew House was kind of headed that way, but things change. There were times when the staff, and Zeppelin Pizza is a good place where people listen. Man, there's some. I only play a couple places.
Yeah.
If you see me playing someplace, that means
means people listen.
Yeah, the staff supports the live music. If the staff doesn't support the live music, then there's no sense in being there. The second one is what I'm going to record tomorrow at Noah's.
Okay.
And it's called My Molly. It's about a dog.
Okay.
No, it's I didn't want to use the person's name in the song because it didn't work.
Right.
But they have a dog, and so I used the dog's name.
Very cool.
She was looking sweet from down on the street, dancing on her balcony. In the summer heat, I didn't miss a beat. I was grooving to her melody. Our eyes meet and she throws me her keys. I wonder what she sees in me. Oh, my Molly, oh, my Molly. Oh, my Molly, I love when you dance for me. I love dancing on your balcony. From the foot of the stairs, I can see her up there, teasing her red hair. And God, I swear I can't help but stare when she dances in her underwear. Nothing compares to the love she shares. I wonder if I have a prayer. Oh, my Molly, oh, my Molly. Oh, my Molly, I love when you dance for me. I love dancing on your balcony. Oh, what your love does to me. Oh, my Molly. Down below, the game's moving slow for the boys of summer after Joe. We're up here and our view is clear, slow dancing to the radio. She's not afraid, she doesn't pull her shade, she loves putting on a show. Oh, my Molly, oh, my Molly. Oh, my Molly, I love when you dance for me. I love dancing on your balcony. Oh, I love it when you dance for me. Oh, my Molly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming today, Fleming. Thank you for being on the podcast, man.
Thank you for having me, Eric, and kudos to you, man.
Kudos to you, Fleming. Fleming Moore, everybody. Once again, I want to thank you for listening to Songs of the Unsung and invite you to go to our website, songsoftheunsung.com, to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We appreciate every like, click, share, anything you can do that'll tweak that algorithm in our favor. I thank you for that. Also, for the musicians that have been on the podcast, for those of you that have listened to the podcast and come to the show, to Freehouse Brewing, thank you everybody. You're really going a long way to support local original music. Next up on the podcast, I'll be talking to Danielle Howe. We'll see you then.